How do you get in the best possible shape as a fast bowler? Today we're going to look at your training year and how you should block it out to get in the best possible shape by the time the season starts. For some of you, obviously the season may be very close, but there's plenty you can do in pre-season and your in-season work to get you fitter and stronger. So we'll give you a general overview of what you should be doing in each month. Let's start by going through January. December. So if we just work off the UK season for now, our season as club cricketers tends to go from May to about the end of August. So this will be our in-season work, call it. So what that will look like generally is a lower volume of work. You're trying to get good quality work, but obviously minimizing the fatigue that you take from these training sessions into your matches. From a strength and conditioning point of view, your performance is related to your level of fitness minus the amount of fatigue. So obviously keeping the volume low, tend to do a bit of strength work with low volume and then some speed work, just to keep on top of, we can still sort of develop that power and strength going through the season. What we do on our programs, we give you 2 gym sessions, which we expect you to do. If you've got 1 game on the Saturday, we then give you another 3rd gym session, which is optional. So that'll depend on how you're feeling through the week, and it depends on how much you're playing. Obviously, some people play 2-3 times a week. We then also give you a conditioning session for the Saturday if your game is called off. Most of our conditioning work is done out of the season and in pre-season. So the matches will be able to maintain your conditioning through the season. But then obviously if you don't have a match, we want to get in a little bit of stimulus on the weekend. Working from the in-season then, I like to block out a 6 to 8 week period, which will be your pre-season work. So this will be for us, March and April. So this is pre-season, and this will just be a bit more of a conditioning bias to what we're doing in the off-season. We still like to do a little bit of conditioning in the off-season to maintain what we have and not turn up to pre-season in a horrendous state. But then in pre-season, we're still doing a few gym sessions. Probably look a bit like probably do 3 gym sessions still, doing strength and power work, and then 2 conditioning sessions. And then it'll probably be dependent on you in the individual really. You can do probably flip it the other way, do 3 conditioning sessions and 2 gym sessions, but depends basically on what you're working on and what you need to improve on, if you need to improve on anything. The conditioning sessions, we tend to do a longer conditioning piece, which would be a longer, slower, more aerobic conditioning piece, and then a bit more of an interval session, a bit more of a VO2 max session then in the 2nd conditioning piece. I don't tend to mix the days up to do like gym work and then conditioning work. I think that you lose a bit of intensity doing that, doing the conditioning pieces after. So I like to keep them separate and keep them in that sort of, as I just explained. And then obviously, as you can see in the UK, we have a massive off season, which is great in terms of strength and conditioning. If you're not playing any overseas cricket or anything, we have 6 months of the off season. So plenty of time to work on your strength and any weaknesses that you may have. If you need to build muscle, and I think, probably most people will, and it can aid you massively in terms of your strength. So after the season, I tend to put in maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we'll put it down as 2 months here, as pure like muscle building work. So you probably won't be able to read this, but let's write muscle. So 2 months there of like pure hypertrophy muscle building work, just to get you in a good space. Like, this is going to be highest volume work. You don't want to be doing stuff like this in the season. It'll be way too fatiguing on you. When it comes to playing games, you're going to be so sore. And you don't want that. You don't want to carry that into the games. So perfect time straight after the season, where you're probably having a bit of downtime, just get in the gym, focused on gaining a bit of muscle. So then when you're coming around to your November, January time, you can look to develop that into some really good strength and power. Why is our muscle mass so important to us? So let's look at two different examples here, probably taking two complete ends of the spectrum when it comes to this sort of stuff. Let's use these two glasses as an example of two different people. So this glass obviously a lot bigger. So this is like a bodybuilder, for instance, whose main aim is to get as big as to build as much muscle mass as possible, but isn't too concerned. I'm not saying that all of them aren't strong, but isn't too concerned about how strong they are. And then this other example is going to be a Olympic weightlifter who's restricted to a weight class, so is limited to the amount of muscle mass they can have. So is looking to squeeze every millimeter of strength out as they can. So this is a bodybuilder, and this water is going to represent how strong they are. So the glass is the muscle mass. Sorry, can you hear that? The glass is the muscle mass, and then this is the amount of strength they have in comparison to their muscle mass, and the rest of the glass is then their potential strength. So a bodybuilder who can have as much muscle mass and has as much muscle mass as they can has a lot of potential strength, but needs to do dedicated strength work to sort of fill this glass all the way up. Whereas the Olympic weightlifter over here it's a much smaller glass. They're going to have a lot less muscle mass, but they work heavily on getting stronger and more powerful. So they're going to fill up a lot of their potential. And as you can see, there is not much obviously left in this glass of empty space because they have a lot less potential strength and what they can achieve with the muscle mass that they have. So this is where you may see people moving weight classes looking to bulk up and put on more muscle mass. Because they feel that they have limited what they can do at a certain weight class. But obviously they are working tirelessly every day to string out like tiny percentages in strength gains. We've got 4 months left of our off season still. Next 2 months then I will probably move and focus solely on a absolute strength block. So that'll be again another 8 weeks probably on pure strength work. What this will look like, probably developing your some main lifts in terms of some sort of squat. Doesn't always have to be a back squat, front squat, whatever. Split squat if you want. A hinge movement, or deadlift, RDL, something like that. And maybe an overhead movement, like a military press, and your bench press normally. Or some sort of push-in movement. So yeah, I'll run 6 to 8 weeks of that. That'll be low reps for your compound movements, and then the accessories will still be higher reps and working towards building muscle. So you still want to be developing that as we go through these. Again, we're so far away from the season, we don't mind getting a bit of fatigue in our system from stuff like this. You might be starting like winter nets and stuff, but again, you're not bothered about really taking any sort of fatigue into those sessions. So it's fine. This is when we want to do it. We also, even though in these I'm going through, we're doing muscle building work and strength work, as I did say, we always will keep one conditioning session in the week. As I said, it's just to keep you in touch with that conditioning. You don't want your conditioning to drop off a cliff. By the time you get to preseason, you're absolutely dead. So we don't want that. They're normally a bit longer. As I said, like aerobic sessions. Building your strength and stuff like that is like building your base of your power. It's so vital, it's so important, and it does take a long time. So we do need to spend a lot of dedicated time to do that. And it's the same for your aerobic training, so your longer, slower runs, longer, slower bike sessions. Your aerobic is the base of your fitness. So we will keep them sessions in all the way through our off season, looking still to develop that base. So by the time we come to do our intervals and stuff in our pre-season, we're in a really good spot for that. So then our last 2 months, January and February, will be dedicated to power work. So our last 2 months are going to be then completely dedicated to power work. So I said those compound movements are going to stay in there. So your absolute strength work, as I said, is the base of your power. So we're going to keep on moving them forwards. And then the other exercises going into those sessions. We're going to follow sort of a strength speed sort of continuum. We'll go from our pure strength work, and then we'll go into our strength speed work. So it'll be something like a power clean or a push press, where the resistance is still very high, but there's more velocity to the movement. And then further, as we go down the continuum, the resistance keeps coming down, the velocity keeps going up. So then the step after that will be our speed strength work. So it's still a bit of velocity. Will be like med ball work, so granny tosses, med ball throws, stuff like that. Very light resistance, but starting to increase that velocity. And then our absolute speed work will be stuff where it should be a body weight resistance. And then move in really quickly. So stuff like box jumps, broad jumps, plyo push-ups, stuff like that. And then, as I said, then we'll look to carry that. So what we've done then over the last 6 months is develop hopefully more strength and more power than what you had in the last season. And then going into our pre-season, as I said, we'll still probably looking to develop it slightly or maintain it at a pure minimum. So then when we come to the season, we are stronger and more powerful than last year. As I said, we're doing a bit more conditioning in pre-season, so that could impact us with fatigue when we're doing them sessions. So you might not see as much progress in the pre-season in that work as you did during the off-season. If you're looking for more training tips on what you should be doing in the gym as a cricket player, we actually have a free ebook. So I'll put that down in the description below where you can go and pick that up. You stick your email in and we just send it to you. They're full of my top 10 things I think you should be doing in the gym to make sure you're making progress, and sort of some stuff with your nutrition around the gym. I said, if you want to take the thinking out of this sort of stuff, you don't want to do it yourself, we do programs. I tried to give away as much free content as I can, so you can do it yourself. But if you don't really want to think about it or do anything like that, we do provide these programs on our website, so I'll stick that in the description below as well. I've gone over there a general overview of what we should be doing through the months. We have actually got videos where we go into detail of what each of those sessions should look like, and we have a full sample week of training on a video of each day. If you want to see, probably the power sessions are probably the most popular, so I'll stick a link to one of them by here, so go and check out that video. But there are other playlists to do with the strength training as well.